Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and hit the bell icon. General Hospital spoilers. Dante warned Sonny his days as a free man may be numbered, but his siblings have other plans. General Hospital spoilers tease that Dante Falconieri, Dominic Zamprogna, didn't hold back when his father showed up at his door looking for a favorite. Dante just couldn't oblige. Sonny Corinthos, Morris Bernard, has rarely asked his son to bend the rules for him, but this time around hit different. Without having to give it much thought, Dante was infuriated that his father would come over and share the details of the prior night, putting Dante in such a compromising position. He made it clear to his father that he shouldn't contact or lay a finger on Dex Heller, even Hofer. He also conveyed his unwillingness to do anything but look out for his sister, Christina Corinthos Davis, Kate Mancy. That didn't include asking her to reconsider icing her father out and claiming Sonny was just defending himself, a version of events Dante doesn't agree with. Dante might be comfortable with drawing a line in the sand with Sonny, but that doesn't mean his siblings are. General Hospital spoilers. Joss Jacks surprised us when Jocelyn Joss Jacks, Eaton McCoy, said she didn't want Dex to press charges against Sonny. Her ex-beau was rather stunned. After all of this time she'd have spent advocating for putting Sonny away, Joss was showing up for her sister in spite of her own feelings. In the end, it probably only reminded Dex of why he fell in love with Joss in the first place. Her selflessness was shining through as she reminded him how bad he would feel if the stress of having to testify against her father had a negative effect on Christina or the baby she is carrying. YH spoilers leak. Michael Corinthos wants peace. Right alongside Joss, Michael Corinthos' Chad Duell was the instigator in the effort to get Dex to keep his busted lips zipped. Michael wasn't advocating for protecting Sonny, but for protecting his sister. Dex had a hard time respecting his position, and we can't say he gave us a good indicator of which direction he'll end up leaning in when it comes to whether or not he'll let Sonny get away with this. As for Michael, there's probably some part of him that also doesn't want Sonny to be hauled off to prison for beating Dex. He's still trying to get through to his father and mend the rift between them, after all. General Hospital spoilers. Christina Corinthos Davis hasn't picked a side. Sure, Christina told Dex she would testify on his behalf and against her father if he decided to press charges. That doesn't mean she doesn't understand how her dad felt at that moment or that she doesn't love him. It doesn't mean she wants nothing to do with his father either. Christina probably isn't ready for the cold shoulder Sonny could induce when he starts to feel like she has joined Team Dex and is against him. Is it bipolar disorder talking? Or is Sonny truly feeling abandoned by his family? Will Dante, Michael, Joss, or Christina be able to decipher Sonny's erratic behavior before they do something rash and cut him off altogether? Will Christina's willingness to do the right thing sway Dex in the other direction away from Joss and Michael's wishes? Stay tuned for more GA news and spoilers to find out. In the bustling corridors of General Hospital, tension crackled like static in the air. Dante Falconieri's stern face mirrored the gravity of the message he had to deliver to his father, Sonny Corinthos. The mob boss turned reformed man found himself at a crossroads, one that his son couldn't let him ignore any longer. "Dad," Dante began, his voice low but firm, "I've heard rumblings. The feds are closing in. Your days as a free man might be numbered." Sonny's eyes, usually so full of fire and defiance, flickered with a mixture of resignation and determination. He knew this day might come, but hearing it from his own son, an officer of the law, made it all the more real. "You think I don't know that?" Sonny's voice was rough like gravel being churned underfoot. "I've been living with this shadow over me for years, but I'm not going down without a fight." Dante sighed, a deep, weary sound. "I'm not here to debate with you, Dad. I'm here because I care about you. If they catch you, you're looking at life. No parole." The room seemed to shrink around them, the weight of their conversation pressing in from all sides. Sonny clenched his fists, feeling the familiar pulse of anger and helplessness. He was a man used to being in control, and the thought of losing that grip was almost unbearable. But Dante wasn't the only one with concerns. Unbeknownst to both men, Sonny's other children were already concocting their own plans to protect their father. Each sibling, with their unique personalities and skills, was preparing to step into the fray in ways that only they could. Michael Corinthos, always the strategist, had been working behind the scenes. With his business acumen and connections, he started maneuvering to create a network of allies who could shield Sonny from legal scrutiny. He knew that money talked, and he was ready to make it sing if it meant keeping his father out of prison. Meanwhile, Christina Corinthos Davis, with her fiery spirit and unyielding loyalty, had taken a different approach. She reached out to old friends and former allies of Sonny, calling in favors and reigniting loyalties that had cooled over the years. Her charisma and tenacity were her greatest weapons, and she wielded them with precision. Morgan Corinthos, ever the wild card, was deep in the underbelly of Port Charles, reconnecting with figures from the darker corners of the city. He knew that sometimes the best defense was a good offense. If the law was coming for Sonny, then Morgan would ensure that there were distractions and obstacles at every turn, keeping the authorities chasing shadows. Every Corinthos, still young but fiercely protective of her father, had her own small part to play. With a child's innocent intuition, she often said things that made the adults stop and think, sparking ideas and strategies that might otherwise have been overlooked. Her presence was a constant reminder of what was at stake: family. And then there was Jocelyn Jacks, Sonny's stepdaughter, who found herself torn between her mother's world and Sonny's. She used her connections with the Quartermains and Jacks to keep an ear to the ground, gathering information that could prove crucial in the fight to come. Her loyalty to Sonny, despite the complexities of their relationship, drove her to act with a determination that surprised even herself. As the days passed, the Corinthos children moved like chess pieces on a board, each with their own role, but all united by a common goal. Sonny, sensing the undercurrent of activity around him, felt a surge of pride mixed with a pang of guilt. He never wanted his children to be dragged into his world, but here they were, fighting for him in ways he never imagined. Back in General Hospital, Dante's words continued to echo in Sonny's mind. He knew his son was right, and that time was running out, but he also knew that he wasn't alone. His family, his greatest weakness and strength, was rallying around him. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows through the windows of Sonny's office, he called a meeting. Michael, Christina, Morgan, Avery, and Jocelyn gathered, their faces reflecting a mix of determination and worry. "I know what you're all doing," Sonny began, his voice steady but filled with emotion, "and I can't tell you how much it means to me. But this is my fight, not yours. I don't want you getting hurt because of me." Michael stepped forward, his expression resolute. "Dad, we're a family. We fight together. You taught us that." Christina nodded in agreement. "We're not going to stand by and do nothing. We love you too much for that." Morgan, ever the rebel, smirked. "Besides, you couldn't stop us if you tried." Sonny chuckled, a rare sound these days. "I suppose you're right, but we need to be smart about this. We need to work together like never before."